SuperTalkRadio.com.
We welcome Jason Talley. Jason, raise your right hand. Swear everything you say is going to be truthful.
It's all going to be true and honest.
Pete Air. Pete, raise your right hand. All right. And also with us is Adam Bueller. Can I say something, first of all, that I'm a little bit surprised? And I'm surprised that you three gentlemen, if people are watching on the internet, I expected earrings and maybe some tie-dye shirts, and you look like outstanding young men in good shape, reasonably intelligent.
We are heading to Jones County, Mississippi. We're due to be there September 10th, and now we didn't have to show up, but we think it's just really important that we stand up for our rights.
You didn't have to? You had to forfeit?
Yeah, we could give them all the money, but
how much are we talking about?
What is it, about $800 for the three of us, and then there's also the impound fees.
So you're going to go all the way through with this?
We're going to fight.
So you're driving through Mississippi, Jones County, and boom. Go ahead.
Yeah, essentially we were stopped because the RV, like Pete had just stated, was recently purchased, so it had paper temporary tags on it.
We had just had a meetup in New Orleans.
And the officer stated that Mississippi doesn't issue temporary paper tags. Pulled us over, essentially escalated the situation. We were just standing up for our rights, and then detained me for filming officers. We're filming a near real-time documentary, so we're going to film everything.
So while he's questioning you guys got the cameras rolling like you do now.
They arrested Adam for videotaping, like Adam stated, but then the sheriff said...
Did they state what law he was breaking?
Well, no. The sheriff even emailed out that Adam had, or that it is illegal to film officers, but the officer took it out of his hand and said, "You're going to jail if you keep videotaping." So we know Adam's charge is bogus. Pete complied with every single request. We all did. We were ordered out of the vehicle. We were ordered to stand in various places. We complied with everything. Pete gave them all the paperwork that they needed. We did not authorize any searches, but they wanted in that vehicle.
How did this thing escalate? Because you guys, he wanted to search the motorhome?
Well, they ended up choking, pepper spraying me, and tackling me to the ground.
Now, did you ever make that first move, or he asked you to turn around, put your hands behind you, and you said no?
He demanded that. I was asking him when he first came up. I'm like, "Look, I was asleep when you guys pulled us over. I don't have my identification anyway. It's inside the motorhome," and so he demanded that I put my hands on the vehicle. I'm like, "Didn't you just say that our tags were legitimate? The only reason that we were pulled over? We should have been allowed to go. Once that they verified our tags that were completely legit, they should have said, 'Have a nice day.' They did not. So my hands were down by my side. When they took the pepper spray out, and I didn't move, I stood in the same place. When they took the pepper spray out, I did brace for it, but and I took it, but yeah, it was not a fun experience.
What was the command?
After demanding my identification, it was to put my hands on the vehicle.
And you failed to do so.
Yeah, they were trying to arrest me, I suppose, because I wouldn't show identification. But as a citizen, your listeners should know they don't have to unless they're a driver of a vehicle.
So they eventually charged me with possession of a beer in a dry county because there was an unopened beer in the refrigerator that they seized without a warrant, or that they found, but they didn't even keep as evidence. They charged Adam with resisting arrest, and they charged
disorderly conduct.
Yeah, with disorderly conduct, and Jason with resisting arrest.
Are any of you guys thinking about the political world later on? We need good young people out there, and why wouldn't you say that this is a prelude to something I'd like to do in the future?
We need good young people to take a look at this system and just see how corrupt it is, and try to work outside the system. That's
But wait a minute. Do you think this in Jones County was actually corrupt, or just a ego pushing power?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, at first I thought it was just some officers that were just out of control, but then the sheriff stated, for the record, that we had some kind of agenda, and then backed his officers. So that shows me a little bit of corruption, honestly.
Well, and it doesn't ring good for the state of Mississippi. You guys have any of this problem anywhere else?
No, unfortunately, we met a lot of good people, and the only times we had trouble is, unfortunately, by these folks with badges. So.
Jones County.
They had me standing in front of in between the two vehicles. They had Jason standing in the front right of the RV and Adam standing behind the police SUV. So they had all three of us spaced out initially.
Right.
The second deputy arrived, told Adam to turn the camera off, and Adam said, "I'm not going to do that, sir." And he said something about wanting to hold folks accountable. And then he said, "Well, then you're going to jail." And he ripped the camera out of Adam's hand. So Adam's arrest was clearly unjust, and everything after that was unjust as well. And I just want to say, we were brought to the adult detention facility. They didn't tell us what we're charged with. We couldn't make a phone call for 8 hours.
No Miranda rights.
But Jason was able to take a picture and get it out over Twitter of Adam's arrest. So
I'd also like to answer the caller's first question, which was about the beer, that we're not exempt in a dry county. Per federal commerce laws, we had no intention to stop in Jones County that day. We were traveling through, so we're traveling through State A, from
But
State
you
A through
check the
State B.
state laws on that, even though you're traveling.
Well, state laws are superseded by the federal laws, so that's just an unfortunate fact.
after we were in the cage, I mean, Jason's tweet that he was able to get out really showed the community that exists in the freedom movement. We had 300 to 500 phone calls from supporters to the jail. And
Deputy Atkins already knew that our tags were valid, and at that point, we could have been free to go. So I would ask him that question if this was all necessary.
But you guys knew that you were gonna cause some problems by bucking the authorities at that time, that were willing to do this.
We stood up for our rights, and I don't apologize for that
But
one
no,
bit.
The only thing is like, I'm driving through the country looking for this to happen.
That's not true.
No, we weren't
Fine.
looking for.
we had no intention to stop in Jones County that day. We had a meetup in Nashville the day before.
Where were you headed, by the
We
way?
were going to have breakfast in Meridian with a couple folks, and then we were going to be in Nashville that evening for another meetup. We had no intention of even stopping, and
Well, I
we
mean,
hadn't done anything unlawful.
This is a wonderful thing to happen to you as far as the mission statement's concerned, to get the word out there in America that these things still go on.
Well, that's true, but you know, I was,
If
I,
you are found innocent.
I was asleep that morning. I would have rather stayed asleep instead of being pulled over by the Jones County Sheriff Department, spending 10 hours in their cage.
Eventually on the scene, there were 5 deputies and a Mississippi State trooper who was a canine officer, and they kept asking us about drugs. Eventually, he ran the dog around and said it triggered. I never saw a change in demeanor, but one of the external storage compartments they opened had some paperwork of my medical marijuana thesis that I did, and
They found no drugs.
no drugs.
Don't we have smart dogs? I mean, we got dogs in Mississippi to find a marijuana thesis. That's pretty good. How long are you guys gonna be doing this?
Through November, we've at that time we'll have gone to 43 of the lower 48 states, and we interview people who do public policy, professors, civil disobedient folks.
Have you learned a lot? This has been a very educational, I'm sure,
Definitely.
experiment.
Yeah, we've learned a lot from-
Wouldn't trade it for anything?
Nothing.
No, I feel
We
like
love
I'm
it.
having a-
But couldn't you have just gotten a canoe and gone down to Mississippi?
That's next.
That's
But
next.
let me say about the first caller that had problems with the Jones County Sheriff's Department. Go to jonescountysheriff.com. It's a site that some folks put together so that, and people can also contact us at motorhomediaries.com. We want to collect these stories. We're going to go to Jones County on Monday. We're going to do some video interviews with other people that have been victimized by the Sheriff's Department. You know, it's time for people to stand up against an out-of-control Sheriff's Department.
Hey, guys, thank you so very much. Is this gonna be up on the website as far as the interview?
Absolutely.